Hello, everybody. It's indeed a great pleasure for me to speak at this very important session of Africa Tourism Leadership Forum. Thank you very much for the organizers for bringing our community together and planning such a great event. More and more, these events are becoming important, where we could gather together. We should look at share best practices, share knowledge, and most importantly, carry advocacy efforts across the world in many parts of the world so that the policymakers understand who we are and what, as an industry, we could do better, and how much we are contributing to the GDPs, the global economies, and of course, countries' economies, not only from a financial impact, but also from a societal impact as well. So once again, congratulations to the organizers for bringing this together. Africa region is one of these very much growing region in the world from expertise point of view, from infrastructure, and more importantly, our industry, the business events industry, has seen significant growth. In spite of all the odds, the region has bounced back and looking at future growth among our industry. And most importantly, looking at bringing larger events into the region so that the industry can benefit and grow. We as ICCA advocate constantly in developing such thought process, and most importantly, looking at how we could enhance the knowledge economy, how we could enhance the expertise within our industry. And that's what, for me, it's very important as ICCA CEO to talk about issues relating to global trends and bring that knowledge to the local industry or to the regional industry so that we all can share, we all can look at how we could grow our industry more extensively. Looking at the topic I'm going to speak today is more about how we can stay competitive, what's happening in the meetings events or the business events industry across the world. In the last 1 year, I would say beyond the crisis we came out of, the industry has transformed extensively. Yes, we had many issues in getting our industry back on its feet, from workforce issues, from budget issues. But I'm glad to say that the industry has extensively bounced back across the world by ICCA engaging in over 100 countries across 1,000 plus members. We constantly see that our members got into robust business of development, and they're also looking at new models, new ways of working. But what is there and what we need to do is the most important part. Our industry has transformed. We all know that. The way the customer focus on our industry has changed. I think we all have to accept that. We are looking at a new model, new ways of organizing conferences and exhibitions. So it's vital that for us to understand, if you have to organize a new way, new model of conference and exhibition, what's the competitiveness? Of course, our customer is looking at across the world being experiential. That's very important, ladies and gentlemen. You need to keep in mind that the usual events we organized pre-pandemic has changed. Sizes of events have changed. There is more and more national and regional meetings. And of course, international meetings have come back really well, bounced back well. Our recent research among the association community showed that over 84% of association meetings have come back. That's the data received from our own association community. So it clearly shows the business is back. But what type and what kind of business you could win as a region and as a city in Africa is important to study. So the basic opinion is that the industry, experiential part of the industry has surfaced really well. Every association is looking at, when you're submitting a bid, what could be the experiential part? So it's not the infrastructure, it's not what you can offer as a service. It's important to see at that experiential element so that the association conference can benefit by coming into the city in Africa and to the region in all as Africa, and also to satisfy their own membership, because they are looking at, by bringing these their conferences and exhibitions to the region, they really need to satisfy and cater to the objective of their membership. To achieve that, it's very vital that we look at as an industry what kind of an experience we could create, what kind of the new innovation we could bring in, what kind of new models we should bring in. So when you're working on an RFP, it's fundamental to understand that 30% of your RFP should be, more importantly, what you can offer from an infrastructure expertise. How are you going to organize a congress? But the 70% is very vital to talk to your customer, is about diversity and inclusion, to talk about sustainability, to talk about what kind of a new format you would bring. And most importantly, if it's a medical congress, it's coming to the destination, what kind of objective they would achieve by coming to the destination. Primarily, what kind of a legacy they will leave. Those are the elements is being constantly looked at by the customer. So that way you can stay competitive and you can stay ahead of the game. You can stay future. Now, globally, these are the RFP trends across the world, and this is what has changed. And we see more and more and more the sustainability issue, the issue of diversity inclusion, the issue of how you're going to accommodate the experiential learning during the Congress is being looked at RFP level. So it's not about organizing the Congress when they are in Africa. It's all about at the bidding stage, when you're competing with across the world, it's important you need to look at whether you are catering to these elements. If we can't cater as industry, it's recommendable to tie up with experts across in the medical fraternity, in the technology platform, in any ecosystem, you have all these experts who can be part of the bid. So while the tourism boards, the convention bureaus, the venues, the PCOs, all coming together, it's important to showcase a competitiveness to bring these experts at the bidding stage during the RFP so that they feel the bid becomes more comprehensive and the customer feel that you have done the research so that you stay ahead of many other destinations to win the bid. The other important aspect the customer is looking at, or at the organizer is looking at, international organizer, is to the skillful engagement of the resources locally. So you need to very importantly ensure that you engage resources who are very skilled and showcase that skill at the RFP time. It's not about, they all know that Africa has excellent infrastructure, Africa has greater resources in terms of managing the Congress, but that landscape has changed. Over the last 2 years, we lost many people, but I know majority of the resources are coming back, but that needs to be showcased, that needs to be spoken about. So in part of the experiential learning, the resource engagement becomes very, very vital. And you as an organizer, you need to talk about. My recommendation to the destinations, it's very vital. We see this phenomena across the world as ICCA. You need to showcase all these elements as a destination part of the bid. So when your industry stakeholders wanted you to be part of the bid document, we're all good in putting the infrastructure and what we can offer in place. But most importantly, these elements, how much we are contributing to sustainability, how much the workforce has qualified workforce we have in the country, and how do we achieve the objective of the conference coming into destination need to be spoken about. Look at advocacy part. That's another important element. Engage the local policymakers, engage the local mayors, local ministers, if you can be part of the bid. Now, that's something really important because that really pushes your competitiveness. Having said that, let's look at what's the future trend and future bids and future business looks at. We in the last report a month ago, which was really released by Events Industry Council, clearly says that we are a $1.4 trillion industry. And we are moving to a $2.8 trillion industry by 2028. So you can see the phenomenal growth. You can see how big our industry is growing. Now, what we need to do is we need to talk about this to our policymakers so that their engagement, their contribution becomes very vital. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, that's our future. Because we learned a lesson that we as an industry need to stay up there. We need, as an industry, need to showcase who we are and what we do best at what we do, and also how much we contribute to the GDP and to the growth of Africa in every country, whether it's Botswana, South Africa, Kenya, any country you name it. We need to showcase how important we are as an industry. So engaging the policymakers through advocacy efforts, it's fundamental. We all have a role to play in advocacy. I always say that advocacy is all about the small steps we take. It's not about you need to find a way to meet a minister or prime minister. No, it's all about the activities we do. It's all about engaging the local society. It's all about engaging the younger generation in your communities. That's again a form of advocacy because they become the best ambassadors, best profile builders for our own industry. They keep talking about it. The other most important is engaging younger generation because that's the future. If you're taking a futuristic approach, it's not only about competitiveness, it's all about having the right resource, the skill for the future to build our industry and to move forward. So in whatever we do, fundamentally, we need to engage the universities, the future leaders, constantly in our activities. Again, how do we do that? Very importantly, we need to showcase who we are at every level possible. It could be at your events, it could be workshops you conduct, your seminars you conduct. That's fundamentally important. If you constantly do that, we will build our future of our industry, and then it will be ready when we have another situation. I hope we don't have that, but we as an industry become more sustainable, more reliable as an industry, so that everybody, every younger generation could be part of an industry, and we retain them as well. We don't keep losing. Um, my third part of my talk today is to talk about the global trend, how and where the industry is heading, not only from a competitive format, but from a point of how our industry is transforming. Looking at next 5 years, the industry is looking at risk share models. It's all about how do you share risk? How do you become partner? How do you work on cooperation, not on competition? I know we spoke about collaboration extensively in the past 2 years, and now we have gone back to our own ways of doing our business, which is expected. But the most important part is to look at how we can synergize, how we can share the risk with our customer, how we can share the risk within our stakeholder. This will make our industry more stronger. And most importantly, we become a very sustainable industry, because that's what we need to achieve more and more. We operating in silos makes us weaker. We all know that. So it's important that the bureaus, venues work together, PCOs, DMCs work together, and all four segments along with the airlines work together. So that way it becomes a win-win situation for all of us. ICCA has been driving extensively advocacy effort through the ICCA Advocacy Alliance. ICCA Skill Program is all about building knowledge and enhancing future knowledge within our industry. And all through across all our regional summits, particularly in Africa, we constantly educate and try to achieve these three fundamental pillars, so that we are future-proof and we are future-ready. I think we as an industry has matured greatly in the last 4 decades. We are transforming from one to another. Yes, we all faced a big challenge, but having said that, I must say that again, almost 72% of the business has bounced back to pre-pandemic level. The ICCA research clearly says that our number of events have not grown to what it was, but the delegate numbers of events have phenomenally grown. Yes, we see the trajectory of last minute registration, but having said that, an event which had about 2,000 people have gone up to about 3,000 people now. So we see enormous growth in numbers. Now that's not only in Africa, it's in Asia Pacific, it's in Europe, Latin America, North America, and even in Middle East. We see that the growth in terms of participation in events have grown significantly. And that's a good sign, because many outsiders who are not part of our events are now taking part. So the delegate numbers are increasing, registration numbers are increasing, and they want to learn as well. They are trying to understand what we do. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, we are facilitators of global movement. And when we organize events, we enable. I always say that we are enablers and facilitators. We drive global economies. We drive global knowledge thought process across the world. So we have a very strong role to play. I think that's a message we need to convey constantly, so that we become more competitive as an industry. We become competitive as a region, as a city. So having said that, I sincerely thank the organizers of Africa Tourism Leadership Forum for giving me this opportunity. Looking forward to engaging with most of you at the ICCA Congress in Bangkok from 12 to 15 November. Looking forward to seeing most of you, and we'll be in Africa soon, so that I can see others who are unable to travel in Africa. Thank you very much, and wish you all the very best and a successful event. Thank you.